So a new anime season has officially begun, and as always, there is a lot of stuff that comes out that can be either good or bad, and I'm gonna say that when I dived into this series, Virgin Road Episode 1, I had, no expectations. I knew it was gonna be a fantasy story, but I had no expectations going in, because I didn't really know much about it. I just heard people saying, it's a good show, give it a shot, and I was like, sure, I'll sit down, I'll watch it. Sat down, watched the first episode, and all I'm gonna say is, whoa. Okay, so I don't think that this is probably gonna be the best anime from this anime season. I mean, there's quite a bit that's coming out for spring of anime 2022. I mean, we have Spy Family, Kaguya-sama, Shield Hero, and that's just to name a few. That's not including all the other series that have still yet to air and all that. So, just to put in perspective, I don't think Virgin Road is probably going to be the best series of the season. But it definitely is a really interesting take on the isekai type of story. And let me explain. So, the way this episode goes about its setup, its plot, its characters, is very misleading. For instance, you're introduced to this character early on that looks like a typical main male character MC, basically, for an isekai. He's just a generic MC, he's just a guy that's like, oh, I'm a isekai and all that, oh, I get special powers, all this type of stuff. And, it's the typical type of MC you would get. He looks very standard, very plain, personality, everything about him is just the typical. And so, on first appearances of watching the episode, you're like, oh, so this is going to be our MC. He doesn't really have anything that stands out, so what's the gimmick? What's going to separate this series, basically? And I was wondering if it was just going to be generic, or if it was going to be something different. The halfway mark happens, and the unexpected. The guy that we thought was the MC gets legitimately executed by the main, or the real main character, our main female character, and we kind of find out that she assassinates, basically, a isekai protagonist. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Excuse me? Wait, excuse me? Did that just happen? So yeah, let's talk about that. So, one thing that this series does very differently, and is why I'm even sitting down to make this video, is that it establishes the world is used to people being transported to it from Japan. Basically, it's very common for people to be transferred, and because of that, you have a lot of culture from Japan that is brought into this new fantasy world. And so, when you see our main female character walking around showing what we thought was the main character, around the place, we get to see a lot of Japanese culture. For instance, the language, to just the signs, to just, technology advancement. We get to see that, these isekai people have really, brought a lot of their culture, and a lot of changes happen to the fantasy world. And so, on first glances, it's like, wow, it's really benefited this world. The world's progressing, it's definitely a lot more advanced than you would actually expect. And so, this is a really cool mix. This is a really nice mix-up to the normal formula, because usually you just have one character that transports, and not many people really know about the person that's transported. They're just a random OP character. And so, it's like, this is nice. Then, as it continues on, as I've already said, what we thought was the main character gets assassinated, and kind of find out that all these individuals that get transported in, they're just as much as technology's advanced and there's been some good things, a lot of them bring a lot of havoc and unbalance to the world and destroy the world because they get so powerful, because they are blessed with such gifts. So that's where our main female character comes in. She comes in and she just executes the actual, isekai individuals. So yeah, I really love the premise. The premise of Virgin Road is definitely something I did not expect. I did not expect this series to be that good. Honestly. But it is. Now, will it maintain its level of quality and interest? Who knows? Because one of the big defining factors of this episode is definitely the shock factor in the middle half of the episode. So, without that, I feel like this episode might not have gotten many people on board to watch it. But at the same time, as I've already said, when it comes to the concept, the topic of discussion with how the world has been changed for new individuals being transported to the world, it definitely mixes up the formula even without the shock factor. So I do think that the series can stand on its own 2 feet and be something very, very good. We'll just have to see where it actually goes. Now, apparently this is based on a light novel, so as always, it's a light novel adaptation. That means not everything is going to be perfect, not everything is going to be adapted. That is something that everybody needs to understand. Because when it comes to adaptations for anime, you know, they can't always adapt every single line of dialogue. It sucks that they can't, and I wish more series could achieve that, but it's something that's not really feasible all the time. Even some of the best anime adaptations for these type of stories, like, for instance, Re:Zero and Mushoku Tensei, suffer things where something's got to get cut. And so I'm willing to bet you there's probably some details that have gotten cut with this episode, for instance, maybe world building to maybe character background. But overall, I feel like in terms of presentation of what the first episode was trying to accomplish, in terms of the world to the main female character to what is expected of her, I think that the episode did a fantastic job. It is a really great first episode. Now, in terms of art and animation, let's dive into that. JC Staff is working on this anime, and JC Staff is an interesting studio. They have made a lot of good anime. They have made a lot of good anime, and they made a lot of subpar anime. A lot of anime that you could just, like, sweep under the rug and wish you could forget about, basically. They have a mixed bag, and it's clear as day that the staff that is working on this project does enjoy this project. They have a lot of time to work on it, or at the very least, they're very passionate about it, because the quality of the art is definitely higher level than normal for a JC Staff project, especially for an Isekai project, and I think that, you know, this is definitely boding well for the future of the story. Obviously, that can change with production issues, etc., but just looking at the first episode, it's very decent in quality. The opening song alone tells you that there is definitely a lot of quality that has been put into this series, so I'm not too scared on maybe a production breakdown as the episodes continue to come out. So let's actually talk about the actual art and animation besides just saying it's good. So there is a certain scene that happens like towards the end of the episode. We get a little fighting sequence and all that, and we get to see kind of the usage of magic from our main female character, and overall we get to see a glimpse of how CGI may be used, to also just how the art and movement, you know, actually it works in this series, and it's really fluid. It's a really fluid usage of art and animation that we got towards the end of the episode. I really like the way the magic is used, the way it looks. It really emphasizes that she's using like a mixture of like holy magic, and I appreciate that, like just the color scheme alone, and I also like the sound effects too. That's another thing. See, one of the big things that I think is very underrated when it comes to like anime in general is sound effects. I feel like many people kind of overlook that. They just don't think too much about sound effects, but in reality, they're very important for building an atmosphere, a very atmospheric build-up, and without it, it can feel very dull, like the world is lifeless. So I feel like in terms of sound effects, there's some good sound effects in this series, and I do appreciate that, especially with some of the movement of the characters and all that, so yeah, that is a plus on that. So overall, would I recommend watching it? As I've already kind of stated, yeah, I would recommend giving the first, episode a shot, regardless if, you're not really, expecting a shock in the middle of the episode, or if it's already been, told to you or whatever. I don't think that takes away anything from the first episode. In fact, I think going in and knowing that the series is going to be different and have those type of twists probably elevates it to a higher level, in my opinion. But, I think that this is going to be a good series. I'm excited for episode 2, cannot wait to review it when it comes out. So I guess I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for everyone out there that has watched this video. I really enjoy your guys' feedback and all that, so let me know how you guys feel about the episode of Virgin Road. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let me know. I love being able to read your guys' comments and see the feedback and all that. But as always, if you enjoyed the video, leave me a like, and if you didn't enjoy the video, leave me a dislike. I know you guys can't see it, but I can, and it does let me know how you feel about it. If you want any more of my content to appear in your YouTube feed, please hit that subscribe button down below, and hit that bell icon as well. With that, guys, be safe, stay healthy, have a fantastic day. Chibi out.